Hi, I'm Nate. I'm 24. And my parents sold my car on my birthday without even texting, "Happy birthday" first. I was elbow deep in a sink full of dishes at the diner where I'd been grinding double shifts for the last year when my phone buzzed. Thought maybe it was my sister. Or my best friend, Mark. Instead, it was my mom. No greeting. No cake emoji. Just, "We sold your car. Family comes first. Be grateful you live here." That was it. No mention of the fact that I'd spent 2 years saving for that beat-up Toyota hatchback. Early mornings, late nights, covering every shift I could without collapsing. Gone. In one message. Like my independence was a spare TV they'd finally decided to pawn. I was still trying to scrub ketchup off a plate when another message came in. "Your brother's starting at Ridgeview College. You'll cover his first semester. $7,200. It's due Friday." As if I were a walking debit card with a pulse. I stared at the screen while my chest started to burn. Then I typed one word back. "No. Not. Let's talk. Not. Why? Just no." 10 seconds later, my phone rang. I picked up, and all I heard was screaming. "You ungrateful brat. You're dead to us. You don't get to say no after everything we've done for you." Then a click. Dead air. Happy birthday to me. I finished my shift numb, walked out into the parking lot, and stood in the space where my car used to be. Just cracked asphalt and an oil stain. I stood there, holding a half-empty soda cup and the knowledge that they'd actually done it. They sold my car. My car. And that night, when I walked through the front door of our dusty house in Cedar Lake for what I already knew was the last time, I wasn't just carrying 2 duffel bags. I was carrying a plan. And the fallout hadn't even started yet. The house was quiet when I stepped in. Not peaceful quiet, guilty quiet. The kind that clings to the walls like smoke after a fire. My mom, Cynthia, was in the kitchen scrolling through her phone like she hadn't detonated my entire life 6 hours ago. My dad, Greg, was slouched in the recliner, yelling at a news anchor like that was a personality trait. I didn't even bother dropping my bags. I just said, "Did you really sell my car?" Cynthia didn't look up. "We did what we had to do. Family comes first. Your brother's future matters more than your little convenience." Convenience? 2 years of tip jars, double shifts, and skipping out on anything fun because gas and insurance weren't going to pay themselves, and she called it a convenience. "You didn't pay for it," I said, shaking. "I did. Every dollar." Greg leaned forward like a bear waking from hibernation. "You live in our house. You eat our food. That car was just as much ours as yours. Don't forget who kept you alive for 24 years. "Oh, I haven't," I said. "And now I know what the bill looks like." My little brother Ethan was nowhere to be seen, probably upstairs playing whatever game my parents refused to sell because he needs an outlet with all that pressure on him. I walked past my dad, who tried to block the hall like a bouncer outside a bar. His hand brushed my shoulder, not hard enough to hurt but just hard enough to say, "We still control you." He didn't. Not anymore. In my room, I packed with surgical precision, laptop, hard drive, chargers, birth certificate, passport, all the stuff that said, "I exist outside this house." In the back of my closet, I found the receipt for my last car payment and a printout of my paycheck stub from the diner, like I needed the proof, but still. It felt good to hold it. Then I texted Mark. "Me. If I leave tonight, can I crash with you for a few days?" Mark. "Yeah. No questions. Just come." That's when it hit me. I was the tech support, the bill organizer, the emergency contact, the guy who fixed the Wi-Fi every time Greg kicked the modem. And if I was really dead to them, then fine. Ghosts don't pay bills. I zipped the second bag, walked out, and made a decision they wouldn't see coming. I barely made it to the front door before my mom was there, arms crossed like she was holding the house together with her elbows. "You're not really leaving," she said. You're being dramatic. You'll calm down, apologize, and we'll move past this. Greg stood behind her, silent now, face tight. The same man who screamed at me hours ago was suddenly playing bouncer again. Put the bags down, he said. You don't walk out on your family because you don't get your way. We made a sacrifice for your brother. You didn't sacrifice anything, I said. You just stole from the only person in this house who didn't expect a handout. Cynthia narrowed her eyes. Don't you dare play the victim. We've done everything for you. And now you want to punish us for making a choice you don't like? I'm not punishing you, I said, adjusting the strap on my shoulder. I'm just finally believing you. You said I was dead to you, remember? So I'm leaving like a ghost. I walked past them. No yelling. No shoving. Just silence. Out on the front porch, the humid air of Cedar Lake wrapped around me like a wet blanket. Mark's car was already idling at the curb. I slid into the passenger seat without looking back. You good? He asked. Not yet, I said. But I will be. We drove in silence for a few minutes until I pulled out my phone. I opened my notes app. At the top was a list I'd been keeping for months. Logins and accounts, Collins household. Electric. Water. Internet. Mortgage portal. My parents hated paying bills online, said it was risky. So naturally, I was the risk. They'd let me automate everything, autopay, notifications, even budgeting spreadsheets I created during a summer community college class. Greg had actually bragged about my tech genius to the neighbors. I started going down the list. One by one, I removed my card, canceled my email as the contact, switched off every autopay link to my checking account. Their lives were stitched together with my digital thread, and now I was pulling every stitch. Mark watched out of the corner of his eye. You sure about this? He asked. Yeah, I said. They told me family comes first. So I'm going to show them what happens when family decides to come second. And I wasn't even close to done. Mark's apartment was a mess of pizza boxes and laundry piles, but it smelled like freedom and didn't come with passive-aggressive post-its on the fridge, so I wasn't complaining. I sat up on his couch with my laptop and my old binder of documents like I was running a startup out of a dorm room, which, in a way, I kind of was. The program I built, LedgerLens, started as a side project. A nerdy, homegrown dashboard that tracks spending by category, bills, groceries, tuition, and my personal favorite, impulse buys disguised as essentials. Greg and Cynthia didn't know it was still running. I'd set it up months ago to sync between my laptop and the ancient desktop in our living room, mostly to troubleshoot remotely when Greg inevitably messed something up. I opened the dashboard and stared at the beautiful chaos. Every cent they'd spent for the last 6 months, every bill I'd paid, every splurge they justified with. We deserve a little something. Guess who paid the electric bill the same week Greg ordered $200 worth of fishing gear? I'd kept it quiet, private, my own way of keeping things from spiraling. But now, it was time to share. I opened the settings and clicked Generate Report. Then under Recipients I added Cynthia Collins, Greg Collins, and Carol, Family Gossip Conduit number 1. Grandma Joe, who still sends birthday cards and sees through BS in under 3 seconds. Uncle Ray, finance guy, loves judging other people's spending. I wasn't adding commentary. I wasn't spinning a story. Just numbers. Raw, inconvenient truth. Then I scheduled it for 7 a.m. the next morning. Weekly, recurring, with a summary of new activity and a snapshot of every single transaction labeled by user. Mark glanced at my screen. You're basically launching a financial airstrike. No, I said, closing the laptop. I'm just letting the receipts speak for themselves. That night, I slept on a sag pull-out couch with a $4 pillow and a peace I hadn't felt since senior year of high school. At 7:03 the next morning, my phone buzzed once. By 7:15, it was vibrating like a blender full of bolts. The fallout had begun. I woke up to a flood of red notifications on my screen: calls, texts, voicemails. It was like my phone had been dropped into a hornet's nest. First thing I saw was a message from my grandma. Grandma Joe. Nate, honey, did you really pay their mortgage 3 months in a row? Why didn't anyone tell me this? Next was Aunt Carol. Carol. Cynthia, what is this report? Says Nate paid the electric, the water, and Ethan's enrollment fee. Is that true? Then the family group chat lit up like someone had tossed a grenade in it. Cynthia tried damage control. These numbers are misleading. Nate offered to help. He insisted. Grandma Joe wasn't having it. Offered or not, why is your son the only one paying the bills while you two are shopping online? Someone else, Uncle Ray, predictably, chimed in with a screenshot from the report. He'd highlighted a $700 outdoor patio set purchased 2 days after I'd paid their overdue utility bill. Can someone explain this sacrifice? He wrote. Greg? Oh, Greg went full caps lock. Greg. This is a hack. These numbers don't show what we've given him. He lived under our roof for free. Which is wild, considering I'd been quietly handing over half my paycheck every month in rent, while still doing their taxes and unclogging their printer weekly. Ethan texted me separately. Just one line. Ethan. Dude, what did you do? Me. I let the truth speak for itself. 3 dots. Then nothing. Around noon, Mark and I were eating leftover waffles when my phone rang again. Aunt Carol, FaceTime. I answered, expecting drama. Instead, I got full-blown family court. Sweetie, she said without saying hi. Your mother told us you stormed out over one argument. She said you refused to help Ethan and made a scene. She left out the part where they sold my car on my birthday and screamed that I was dead to them. I said, chewing. Carol blinked. Your car? My car. I paid for it. They sold it to cover tuition without telling me. She took a deep breath like she was about to explode. I'm going over there, she said, and hung up before I could stop her. Mark grinned. You just summoned the Kraken. Good, I said. They wanted family? Now they've got all of it. Carol did not disappoint. At 3:42 p.m. I got a blurry, too close selfie from Ethan, half his face, part of a coffee table, and the caption, "She's here." And she brought Grandma. I nearly choked on my iced coffee. By 4 o'clock, I had live updates. First, a video clip. Greg was red-faced, pacing, holding the printed LedgerLens report like it was an eviction notice. This is exaggerated, he bellowed. It doesn't include everything I've done emotionally. From somewhere off-screen, Grandma Joe replied, Greg, you can't pay the electric bill with emotional contributions. I lost it. Next came audio from Carol's phone. Cynthia was crying, telling Grandma and Carol that I twisted everything. That the app told a biased story. Grandma calmly asked, was it biased when it showed your Macy's orders the same day Nate paid your water bill? Silence. Then Carol asked the million-dollar question. Did you really sell his car? And Cynthia snapped. It was registered in my name. I had every right. You mean the car he bought? Grandma asked. Cynthia folded. He wasn't using it responsibly. He was always out late at that diner job. That job was paying your bills. Carol fired back. You didn't sell the car. You sold your credibility. Then came the shove. Not physical. Verbal. Greg turned to Ethan and said, You gonna defend your sister now? You gonna turn on us too? Ethan, bless him, stood up and said, I didn't know she was paying the bills. I didn't know you lied. But I do now. So yeah, I'm standing with her. Greg pointed at the door and shouted, Then get out. You can go live with her and that smart-ass friend of hers. Ethan looked straight at him and said, I'd rather live in a cardboard box with people who respect me than in a house built on lies. Carol gasped. Grandma said, Well, I think that's settled. Later that night, I got a text from Ethan. Ethan, I'm staying with a friend. Can't deal with them right now. You were right. About all of it. And for the first time in years, I felt like maybe I wasn't the crazy one. Just the first one to say it out loud. By Sunday morning, Clearwater was buzzing, and not just from lawnmowers and church bells. Apparently, Cynthia had made the fatal mistake of forwarding the Ledger Lens report to her church prayer group, thinking someone would see what Nate did and understand our pain. Spoiler, they didn't. Instead, screenshots of the spending charts began to circulate with captions like, "This is what sacrifice looks like," and $600 at Outdoor World the same week your son pays your overdue mortgage? At 8:15 a.m. Pastor Troy himself replied, privately he thought, to the group thread. Pastor Troy. I'll be praying for healing. But also accountability. That's what Scripture calls us to. Oof. At 10:07, I got a call from Greg. Didn't answer. He left a voicemail. Listen, Nathan. You've made your point, all right? Things got tense. But this has gone too far. Your mother's a wreck. People are turning on us. You want to ruin your own family? Congratulations. Then, as if trying to sweeten the pitch, but if you come home now, we can sort this. Quietly. I didn't even need to respond. Ledger Lens had already generated report number 2 that morning. It was brutal. Late fees? Up. Autopays? Missed. Discretionary spending? Somehow still happening. And my email wasn't on any of it. At 11:24, Grandma Joe group texted. Grandma Joe. Linda, I love you. But I won't fund your lifestyle while you punish Nate for telling the truth. This is financial abuse. Another text followed, Uncle Ray this time. Uncle Ray. Greg, you told me Nate didn't contribute. You let me shame him at Christmas. That's not parenting. That's manipulation. I scrolled in disbelief. For years I'd been screamed at for not pitching in enough, even as my debit card covered their chaos. And now the people they'd been performing for finally saw the receipts. Mark slid a bag of chips toward me. Dude, he said, you basically Watergate your own family. I laughed. They shouldn't have made me tech support if they didn't want the logs. That night, Ethan texted again. Ethan, Dad says if I don't back him up, he'll cut me off. Me. You okay? Ethan. Yeah. I told him I'm not interested in staying bought. That one? That hit different. Because for the first time in forever, I wasn't the only one saying no. The last domino fell Monday morning. I was halfway through refilling the syrup caddies at the diner when my phone lit up with a message from Mrs. No, my parents' next-door neighbor and the unofficial mayor of suburban gossip. Mrs. No. Just checking in. I always liked you, Nate. And I want you to know, people are talking. But most of us, we're on your side. That was the moment I knew it wasn't just the family anymore. It was the town. The church. The cousins who used to roll their eyes at me. The people my parents cared most about impressing were now squinting at their story and seeing the cracks. Later that day, Ethan showed up at the diner again, same hoodie, same bike, but with a different energy. Calmer. Lighter. I talked to Grandma again, he said, sipping his free coffee. She's offered to pay for community college if I still want to do art and game design. I raised an eyebrow. You want to? He nodded. Yeah. And this time, it'll be my call. He hesitated. She also said she's opening a separate account for you. Said if you ever need help, she wants you to ask her instead of, letting them guilt you into sacrificing everything quietly. I almost teared up. She said that? She also said. He grinned. And I quote, I may be old, but I know a hustle when I see one. By midweek, Cynthia had deleted her Facebook account. Greg hadn't been seen at the bait shop in 3 days. And Carol was now the undisputed queen of the family chat, and she was using her new powers to post budgeting tips and financial literacy resources. Mark bought me a cake. It said, Happy Freedom Day. in messy icing and came with a side of frozen fries. Best gift I've had in years. And me? I got an email from a small fintech startup in Tampa. Apparently, someone forwarded them a copy of the LedgerLens report. The subject line read, "Ever thought about making this a real product?" I stared at it for a long minute, then smiled. Because I had. Not out of spite. Not out of revenge. But because if my own family had taught me anything, it's that sunlight isn't the enemy, it's the cure. Here's what I know now. Family comes first. Doesn't mean they get to go through your wallet with a smile and call it love. It means you all rise together. And if that's not happening, then maybe it's time to stop holding up the house just because your name's on the mailbox. My parents wanted gratitude. What they got was the truth. And the truth has a paper trail. A big, colorful, impossible to ignore one. LedgerLens did its job. And so did I.